What's going on, guys? What's going on, girls? Sal here, back again. We're going to be taking a first look Monday morning right now on the East Coast. We're going to be taking a first look at the Week 15. 3 weeks left in this NFL season. It's pretty nuts, but the Week 15, we say that every week it feels like. Week 15, first look at the slate. The Millie Maker we'll look at so we get the whole main slate on there. A couple things, though. The first thing, we got to give a winner. So Zeke ended up being the highest score running back on the main slate, Derrick Henry overall. But Zeke was probably the most popular choice. We have a lot of people on this wheel. But right off the bat, let's spin this wheel. And for those of you that are new here, my name's Sal. Welcome. We've been doing some giveaways each Monday. Last week was the highest scoring quarterback, ended up being Patty Mahomes. This week, highest scoring running back, ended up being Zeke. So some chalky guys, maybe we have to switch it up, but I also just like the simplicity of it. And for this week, it's going to be a $20 PayPal. I wasn't able to figure out the DK ticket. They said that they weren't able to get me it. I'll try some more, but $20 PayPal, Venmo, whatever it is to get you the money. And let's spin it right now. So we have a decent amount of people that picked Zeke. We'll do that quick, and then we'll get on with the video. So we're going to spin this wheel. Like you see here, we got like 15. I don't even know. So let's see. Put some volume on so we can add some, add a little thrill to it. A lot of names. And it's going to go to, will it stop? Oh my God, it almost missed it. So I'm going to butcher this name. Zypher. I'm going to say that it's Zypher. Zypher, you won. $20 Venmo, PayPal. Use it on DK. Congratulations, that's our winner for the highest scoring running back, picking Zeke for Week 14. I'll comment below if you don't see this. I'll comment. I'll notify you. We'll get your email. We'll figure it all out. All right. Now just getting back to DFS. So another thing that I wanted to announce real quickly right before we get in this, take a second of your time, is that I launched a website this weekend really quick, just mainly to blog on, but also put some of my other stuff on there because I do want to kind of just have opportunities to give you guys more content, one, and then also have some stuff to show people if I wanted to contribute to a website in the future and kind of be a writer for them, because that's somewhere that I would like to go as a career option, honestly. You just pull this as much as I can. I think there's a lot of support behind this stuff. I love it, so even if there wasn't a ton of support, I'd still do it. But you guys showing great support. It's really fueling me to do this stuff. I'll put it in the description below. It's called Daily Fantasy Assist, and I'll just show you really quick. Basically, this is the homepage. I mean, I built it over the weekend. It was awesome to build. That's our logo, DFS Assist. And then, yeah, it's just latest blog posts, and then it'll direct you to YouTube. So some people who haven't seen the YouTube channel, maybe it'll have the most updated YouTube stuff. As you can see, I've created a blog post per day for each of the last 3 days. This is something that I really want to do, is rights and regrets, just things that I got right over the weekend, things that I regret, so you guys can kind of see how I did over the weekend or where my mindset was going forward. I'll try and do a cash game review on here as well moving forward. And then we'll also get into basketball, things like that, baseball when the time comes. Going to try and learn those as much as I know football. But I appreciate all the support. If you can go down, if you can go to that link in the description, if you can follow the blog, just show some support, that'd be greatly appreciated. Just trying to get it out there as much as possible right now. Use it to kind of give you guys more content and just get my brand out there a little bit more. It was a ton of fun to make. This is a ton of fun to make these videos. Going to keep going at a full head of steam. So let's go. Let's look right now at the quarterbacks for next week. And the first thing that jumps off the board at me is that Russell Wilson is the most expensive quarterback. That's definitely interesting. Did not see that coming. So Russell Wilson, he's been great. He's been efficient and great, right? Not throwing the ball a ton. He's been absolutely insane. I think I put out a tweet. He was like 3 for 4 with 3 touchdowns and 105 yards or like something nuts like that. In their last week's game. He plays tonight against the Vikings at home, so we'll see what he can do there. But he's going up against San Francisco. Yes, it's on the road in a divisional matchup, which in my regrets post, if you go to that blog, I weighed divisional matchups way too much this past week. I stayed away from that Dallas and Eagles game when really I should have been all over Amari. Only had him in one lineup. Absolutely kills you if you don't have him. Second week in a month now, dating back to Thanksgiving, that he's just gone bonkers. And Dak played well, and Zeke played well. So it was just a perfect opportunity to stack a game. Whoever you bring back with on the Eagles, whether it be Jeffrey, whether it be Ertz. I mean, it was just a perfect opportunity, and I overlooked it because it was the second time. Trends show that the second time divisional opponents play, it's worse for the quarterback. It's worse for really all the players, but mainly the quarterback and wide receivers and pass catchers. But I just shied away from those pass catchers in that Dallas and Eagles game, and I just shied away from the quarterback. So that was definitely a mistake. Don't want to make that same mistake, but at 6,700 for Russell Wilson, who, yes, he's been efficient, but at some point regression is going to have to hit no matter how good he's been. You throw 17 times, you get 4 touchdowns. That's just insane. You can't keep that up, although he's been keeping it up relatively for the whole year. 140 pass rating, you can't keep that up, right? So not somewhere I want to go this week at all. Tournaments, he could be a sneaky option, but 6,700, you're not paying for 35-point upside anymore to Russell Wilson since he's not running nearly as much. Yes, it's shown in the past couple of weeks maybe, but not nearly as much in the game plan. Those are more so scrambling. All right, real quick, guys, I forgot to put this in here, but I just wanted to mention Draft Dashboard. There's a new thing now that I'm letting people see, and it's my watch players list. So you can see who my whole player pool is for tournaments and also most likely cash game lineups for the week. You can get in there. You can see all the players. Last week I had 35 players. The tool itself is just a lineup optimizer. You can mass generate up to 100 lineups for tournaments, but you could also see things like snap counts, touch counts, projections. It just saves on research time. It gives you an easier and more efficient way to enter lineups, especially excluding players that you don't want, only including players that you want, like these 35 last week for me. You can see I had Gronk in there. I had Hamilton who had a nice spot. We had a nice week at only 17 minimum value for 17 points. We had some guys in here. We had Julio who went off. We had some of the nice plays, the higher up guys. So you guys can get all access to this for 1 month for $1. So 30 days for $1. It's in the description right below. You can click it. You can sign up for $1 and then decide if you want to keep the service or not. Just thought I showed you guys that. These are my watch players list. They'll be out probably every week on Thursdays. Appreciate it. Let's get back to the video. Big Ben came out with an injury, somebody to watch, but he did come back in. Actually had a decent game since he did come out in a good matchup. Not as good as a lot of people hoped for at his price last week. Again, he comes in as one of the most expensive quarterbacks on the slate. No Patty Mahomes this week. I'm imagining he's on the Thursday night slate with Phillip Rivers, so that's where we see two big offenses going out. I'm not sure who plays Sunday night or Monday night next week. But I'm sure we can see that by seeing some people off this slate. I see the Saints aren't on this slate, so that means they're probably playing one of those games. They definitely are. Andy Luck at home against Dallas. Now, Dallas' defense has been great. We saw what they did to the Saints, but they did get kind of exposed a little bit maybe in the fourth quarter at home against the Eagles, against a good quarterback. Andrew Luck came right back to where he's supposed to be. This outlier game you see right here is exactly what it is, an outlier, and he went right back to scoring 25-plus, at least 20-plus fantasy points. Going for over 300 yards, getting multiple touchdowns, what he's been doing all year, over 100 rating, having a great year. MVP sneakily type season. I think he's right up there now. I think he might have passed Breeze now because I think Mahomes is the clear-cut guy. But Breeze did end up putting in a decent performance after having an awful first half yesterday. Andy Luck, 6,400, somewhere I don't want to go again. Holy, okay, so I jumped really quick. Aaron Rodgers, yes, he's at Chicago. So this is like we saw last night. Jared Goff got killed, but Aaron Rodgers is used to the cold. He's from Lambeau. If you're wondering, I'm a Packers fan. They finally got a W. Mike McCarthy's out of town. Aaron Rodgers just lit it up. By far their most points scored in the year, and it was just a great game, but it's a little bit too late. 4% chance of making the playoffs, though. Maybe next week that number will go up. We'll see. But, I mean, he owns Chicago, right? We know that Chicago can stop the run. They're a little more vulnerable in the passing game. Aaron Rodgers is 5,700. This is insane. In a game where he didn't have to do too much, right? Throwing 32 times against Atlanta, got a big lead. He puts up 20 points. Now, at 5,700, you just want, 20 points from your cash game quarterback at least? I like this move. We went there last week in the first look. Yes, I'm probably a little bit biased as I'm wearing a Packers polo right now. But again, I like this move. Chicago's defense, sure, they're good. They can get pressure. But Aaron Rodgers in one half put up 25 on them, basically in one half, put up 25 on them in week one. Yes, a lot has changed since then, but their defense was dominant that game as well, right? They got pressure on him. Maybe shored up a little bit in the second half. Thing to watch would be their offensive line. Their offensive line had 3 starters out. Another one got injured during the game. Obviously, if they were playing with 4 backups, this is not a move I want to make against Khalil Mack and that Bears front. But their secondary can be exposed, and the Packers do have some playmakers who can expose it. Aaron Rodgers has a great track record against the Bears, even in Chicago. This is a game that there's a must-win for the Packers, right? The Bears, maybe if you want to say they want to win the division, but they're more so suited for the playoffs right now, and this is going to be probably more urgency from the Packers. Although it's a divisional game, again, this might be a spot that you stay away from. I just think it's worth noting that he's $5,700 and is Aaron frickin' Rodgers, right? A couple other names, I'm just going to glance over. Matt Ryan had a decent day, considering all that was happening, being in a blowout. He had a decent day. Mainly, it was just Julio's big day that fueled Matt Ryan. Nobody can guard Julio. Definitely nobody on the Packers can guard Julio. At home against Atlanta, or against Arizona, definitely a good spot. Probably decent favorites in that one. Arizona's pass D is decent, but at home, Matt Ryan's different. Yes, he got halted by Baltimore, though, but I think Baltimore's halting a lot of people, as we saw they held the Chiefs. It's one of their lowest scoring performances of the year. Lamar Jackson at home, and we get Mitch Trubisky at 6K against Green Bay. So Mitch Trubisky last night was just chalked up to probably just bad situation. Maybe weather impacted it. Mitch Trubisky's a guy who's going to jump all around. Not a guy I want to play in cash because look at this variance. Single digits he can go for multiple times this year, but he's also gone for over 40 multiple times this year, or right around 40 multiple times. Definitely a guy in tournaments that I'm going to be looking at a lot. Lamar Jackson got injured, but Dr. Chow, the pro football doc, said that he's going to be all good, ready to go. But it seems like Joe Flacco is going to be ready for next week, was almost ready for this week. Seems like they want to start Jackson still. I mean, he's won basically every game, almost beat the Chiefs last week. So it seems like they want to play him. I think that he's now, what? He was almost 4-0 in his starts, almost 3-0 in his starts. So I like Lamar this week. He continues to just kind of meet value, and he's not priced up over 6K still. Again, another guy that you kind of just want him to get you 20 points in your cash game lineup. Yes, if he gets you more, that's great, but 20, you would take it, right? It's not going to kill you. Winston against Baltimore, and Baltimore could be a nice tournament spot, but not going to touch it. Derek Carr against Cincinnati. Now, Derek Carr does have good games on the year, right? Like, his past 2 games have been good. They're actually doing decent on offense. He's getting people involved more, but I will stay away from it for now. First look, though, at 5,400, I don't mind that against the Bengals, who haven't been that great. Joe Flacco, again, they have him priced up because they don't know who's going to be starting there, so they want to make sure they cover themselves. Nick Mullins, he did good. He was starting a lot of tournaments. He won a couple of big things. I mean, he might have won the Millie Maker, I think. He was in that lineup. 23 points, not bad, coming off a 27-point performance against these same Seattle Seahawks, and now he's at home. 4,800, not bad if you want to pair him with somebody like George Kittle. But for the sake of just getting a lineup started, I'm really tempted to go Rodgers, right? I mean, we see Josh Allen up here again because what did he do? He went over 100 yards once again and a tutty on the ground. He's putting up RB1 numbers as a quarterback who's still throwing the ball 30-plus times a game. Now he gets Detroit, whose secondary overall is bad. We see what Josh Allen's done. 3 straight games. He's a good quarterback, I mean, in terms of fantasy, right? Maybe not overall great quarterback. They ended up blowing this game to the Jets. They were up a decent amount in that one. 3.5-point favorites. Couldn't cover it. Couldn't even win. But Josh Allen's interesting. So there's a lot of interesting pieces here. I mean, you can come all the way down if you really want to and go to somebody like Mullins, who's only 4,800 in cash. I don't think that Derek Carr is a bad option. I just am worried, who do I pair him with? Yes, Jared Cook is out there. That could be the guy that you do pair him with. But I think I'm going to go. Yes, it's a bad divisional matchup, so I might just stay away from Rodgers here. And I think this is tough because I just don't want to put Josh Allen in my lineup in cash, but we've seen what he's done the last 3 weeks. I feel like it's a bad time to jump on him. I feel like a chalky Josh Allen, although he was kind of chalky last week, is a bad idea, but he paid off last week. So right now for me, we'll see what we can do with the lineup. Start at the same price. You got Allen in the better matchup at home, not divisional matchup. And you got Aaron Rodgers, who's Aaron Rodgers, priced down. Divisional matchup, though, at Chicago, definitely be a tough one. Could be a low-scoring 17-14 type game. But give me Aaron Rodgers because I'm choosing between Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. All else considered in a vacuum, I want Rodgers. Yes, this isn't a vacuum, but we're doing a cash game lineup first look, so let's get on with the slate. So let me just plug in. So we got running backs here. Saquon continues to eat. These guys at the top literally continue to eat. Saquon continues to eat in the first half, right? He put this up. He put these 2 performances up in the first half. The 38, the 36. He put the 32 basically up in the whole first half, and then they stopped giving the man the rock, right? He got like 14 rushing yards in the second half, and they just don't give him the rock as much because they're up by so much, and they really didn't play him, which is probably smart in a losing season right now. Zeke continues to eat. This was nuts. I kept seeing him just rank up little dump-offs. Absolutely went off. Almost had 200 total yards. Without getting a touchdown, he was the highest scorer of the week, which is pretty impressive. Almost hit double bonus on that one. Monitor James Conner, but Samuel outsnapped Stephen Ridley 34-8. A lot of people were concerned. Yes, Ridley got the goal line touchdown. Samuel got all the work, though, other than that. Leonard Fournette at home against Washington. This is a good matchup because, you know, Lenny Fournette, I mean, this was a game where they got blown out, and he still got 16 touches overall, 14 on the ground, in a game where they're being blown out, right? He didn't get any work. Or he didn't get in the end zone. He got some goal line work. He got stuffed, which is very rare. I think Lenny Fournette's a good play at 7,500. I think now we're going to jump right from these 9K guys, who are probably going to be the guys I want, into some of these other guys down here. Incredible matchup. David Johnson against Atlanta, plugging him in. Right? I did it last week. The second I saw Aaron Jones against Atlanta, good running back, incredible matchup, plug him in. Right? Now, David Johnson, yes, he's on the road. He's got Josh Rosen throwing him the ball. That offensive line looks absolutely terrible. He couldn't get anything done. But look at this. Still at 8 catches for 10 yards. If the offensive, 8 catches for 12 yards on 10 targets. If the offensive line is going to be shaky, One, that's going to help David Johnson if they're dumping the ball off. Yes, he might not get those big explosive plays that they're setting up screens for. He's going to get to actually run the ball. But he's still getting the work. 23 touches here. He's basically a shoo-in for 20-plus touches with Leftwich in there. I think Atlanta, they probably get right at home against Arizona. But I think David Johnson's a good play. Like, even in a game where they're getting blown out, like right here, you can see he put up almost 10 points, but he got 20 touches. That's the thing. If he translates one of these into a touchdown, I'll take his 20-plus touches and his, like, on average, probably 5 targets in the receiving game against Atlanta should be more. For 7,100, I'll take David Johnson, a guy who has 40-point, 30-point upside, but also has a decent floor with those touches, right? Against Atlanta, I want anybody playing Atlanta at this point. Again, I love Aaron Jones, but if we're going to go Aaron Rodgers, we're going to be saying that it's going to be tough for them to run the ball. Aaron Jones is a different kind of running back. He can get yards even in a tough matchup, no matter what's happening, right? Like, he's been pretty consistent since he got the job against Miami. Literally consistent, right? 15 has been his lowest performance. On limited touches, like 11. Like, he's been getting it done on limited touches. He out-snapped or out-touched Jamal Williams 20-4. Even though Jamal Williams started, he still out-touched him 20-4. But I don't want to put Aaron Jones in this lineup due to matchup. I'm going to say the defense is a little bit better on the run for them, definitely with their front. And I think Aaron Rodgers is just the way that I want to go, maybe pairing him with one of his pass catchers. I want to get up here, right? I want to go Zeke on the road against Indy. Better matchup than Barkley, which I think Barkley is pretty much matchup proof now because we know that he can, one, explode for 80-yard touchdowns like it's nothing and make HaHa Clinton Dix look like an absolute bum, like he kind of is on multiple plays. Just a terrible. If you watch any of the film on HaHa, he's just bad. Even in Washington, he looks even worse. It's crazy how people think that he's a top 5 safety or something. But you can see Saquon also gets limited touches, but again, he bursts with 80-yard touchdowns out of nowhere. He still, even in a game where they're up, he still gives you a 6 to 7 point floor last week just in the receiving game. That's nuts. That's why he's going for 30 to 25 plus every single week, basically, because this guy is catching the ball like this, and he's setting an insane floor, getting you those bonus points of like 10 points basically just from his receiving game on kind of like an average week. So Saquon, 9,400. If we could fit him, we'll try and fit him in the flex. If we can't, look, Joe Mixon's a guy I love. He has an incredible matchup at home, and he went off, right? I sat him in my standard league. I didn't play him as much as I usually do in tournaments just because they were huge underdogs against the Chargers. But look, Joe Mixon, they got Driscoll in there. Yes, Driscoll's going to throw the ball a little bit, especially if they're down, but they're still going to feed Mixon. Mixon's a great running back. Like, his limited touches, what he does is insane. He got 31 touches overall. He got in the end zone. He had 140 yards total this past week. He's getting work in the receiving game with Driscoll out there. Average, maybe slate him in for 3 or 4 looks. Joe Mixon at 6,100 against Oakland at home in a game where it's not going to be a blowout like it was even with Driscoll playing against the Chargers. I like Joe Mixon a lot in a really good matchup, right? So let's just slate Mixon in there. Let's see what the 4 o'clock guys are. So yeah, we only have 2 4 o'clock games this week. Why is that? Am I missing something? Is there like games on Saturday or something? Why is there only 2 4 o'clock games this week? Anyways, I'll check that out after. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to put Mixon, DJ, and Elliott. I think that gives us a good running back core. Let's get a defense. And if we want to come up to Saquon, we can, right? Like later in the week, that's probably what I'm going to do. One of my regrets that I wrote was going for the cheap guys. So like, I mean, we could look at Samuel or Wilson and see what their prices are. Wilson's 4,600, and he's in a great matchup against Seattle, right? Got 23 carries. He got 24 total touches. This is a really good spot as well, actually. Samuel, 5,200 against New England, who gives up the points to pass-catching running backs. He got 18 total touches, 7 in the air for 64 yards. This is where it's going to have to come from a guy like this who's not going to get a lot of work on the ground. Wilson, I like that a lot. Wilson got a lot of the work. Yes, he didn't go off getting 24 touches. You would hope that he would get at least 100 yards for you. But he has a really good matchup against Seattle in a game that should stay relatively close in San Fran. I don't mind if we want to come up. Especially if you want to fit a guy like Saquon in, you can go Wilson cheap, who's still cheap. So you get the 4 o'clock game, so you can wait a little. So Mixon, I like. Remember that. I like Mixon. Maybe you come down off of somebody else and get to him. But let's just put Wilson in here, who had 24 touches at 4,600. Last week I regretted playing too much Wilson and Samuel in the same lineup, right? Samuel got there at 16 points. Wilson only getting you like 10 points. If he gets in the end zone, he gets you there as well. But I regretted that because it gave me not so much, I said this in my blog, not so much that they're them being bad plays. They were great plays at their price. The usage that they were going to get, both got 18 plus touches. Samuel more so in the passing game, but I think that they're both like great plays. But when you look at it in the context of your opportunity cost, it only allowed me to get up to McCaffrey, who I played a lot of, and I couldn't pair like a Saquon and a Zeke. And get 2 of them as much, and that's something that I regret because those guys are basically a shoo-in for 20 points, and you're hoping to get like 20 at most out of these guys. Their ceilings are so low. Yes, maybe 25, but that's in a ceiling game. Saquon and Zeke ceiling games are 40 plus points like we've seen. Their averages are closer to 30 now. So that was one of my regrets. But at the beginning of the week, just to build this lineup, we'll keep Wilson in there, but I do like going up at this point right now. I want to try and get away from, I don't want to get away from going to the value. Like 1 value play is fine, but I want to get away from putting 2 to 3 value guys in my lineup who have such high upsides of failing for you, right? In terms of their better counterparts. So just finding the right value basically is what I was talking about in that blog. You can check it out. Rights and Regrets is the name of it on my, it'll be in the description below, like I already mentioned it. Plugging a cheap defense. So we got Zeke against Indy. I mean, 2,300. Again, I'm not playing the Cowboys defense. I might play them, right? I'm just throwing one in there to make the rest of this video go on, and it makes sense with correlation with Zeke. I'll just throw it right in there. And now we got wide receivers and a tight end with a decent amount of money to spend. Let's go to tight end. Kittle went absolutely bonkers. Did nothing in the second half, but he went absolutely bonkers. My brother had him playing my cousin in Standard League's playoffs first round. My cousin was up a decent amount. Then Kittle went. And that changed a whole lot real quickly. I forgot who my cousin had or my brother had at night. He had somebody later on as well. I think he had Juju, and we know Juju went off as well. So we got George Kittle here. Went off. I regretted not playing him. I played none of George Kittle, and I knew that his ownership was going to be low, and he was in a better situation because Marquise Goodwin was back, right? Marquise Goodwin opens up more on the outside. That means it opens up the middle because people have to put safeties on the outside to make up for his speed. You can't guard him one-on-one the whole game. That opened up stuff over the middle, like we saw George Kittle's one long catch over the middle. George Kittle was a crossing route over the middle, and the other one took that one for like 80 yards and a touchdown, 85. Just an outstanding tight end who keeps getting the work. It seems like every quarterback he plays with likes him. Eric Ebron, price only comes up by like $200, and he continues to get the work. 8 targets, 65 yards, another touchdown. The man's got like 12 or 13 on the year. He's just getting absolutely insane. 16.5 points, 6,000 though. His price is coming up a lot. I like him though. I like Gronk again. A good matchup against Pittsburgh. Gronk came alive, right? Caught all of his passes, 100 yards, a touchdown. Couldn't make the game-saving tackle. Kind of stumbled, but I'd say it's not his fault. Josh Gordon should be back there. But that shouldn't happen in the first place. Just that miracle-type play. Not really good defense or pursuing it, but also set up nicely by Kenyon Drake. Kind of stutter-stepping. Anyways, I love Gronk. I think so many people are going to be on him this week, though. In cash, he's a good play at 5,800 if you can afford him. In tournaments, I think he's a good fade spot because people are going to say he almost dropped 30, which was kind of overshadowed by Kittle's like 37, and kind of underrated. Like he would have been on tournament winning lineups. He probably was, but more so if Kittle didn't exist this week. But people are going to see this. They're going to see Gronk's name. They're going to see his good matchup on Draftkings that it shows 20-30 against the Steelers and what should be a high-scoring, really good game. And they're going to say, yep, Gronk's back. But Gronk owns Miami. Miami's a different type of defense than the Steelers. Yes, I think Gronk probably has a decent game here, but I might fade him in tournaments. I might put him in, though, in cash. Jared Cook is the guy. I like him, 5,600. Continues to get the work with really nobody else out there. I mean, you're batting with, like, Marcel Aikman, and that's about it, right? Aikman, or whatever his name is. So Cook continues to get the work. Sad the Packers let him go. He's just absolutely incredible. Didn't get in the end zone, but went over 100 yards, had a pretty high receiving day on 10 targets. I like him. A lot of tight ends priced up this week. Let's see if we go into this cheaper range. I mentioned how I like Cooper because he always seems to get the job done. Like bad weeks for him, his floor is around 7 to 8 points. Not as great of a matchup this week, though, especially if we're going to try and rely more so on either going up in value or going pretty cheap if we're going to try and find targets, right? Like I want to find targets at the tight end position. I think last week I played a lot of Ertz and a lot of Kelsey. No, you're good. I played a lot of Ertz and I played a lot of Kelsey last week, and I didn't go down. And a lot of Ebron, and I didn't get to Kittle. I just want to play the guys at tight end basically who are going to get a lot of volume and try and do that a little more often. So I'm not really going to come down here and try and take a dart on these guys as much unless it's going to fit somebody else in my lineup, right? So if we're going to just go on pure volume, I thought CJ Uzuma was a good play based on his past weeks. Didn't do terrible for you at his price last week at 3,500. Blake Jarwin, 2,700. He had a good game, right? I don't think this holds up. I think that might have been more so a result of the Eagles having literally nobody to defend anybody. But I think that's a good move right there. I think I'm going to pay up this week, and it's going to be one of these 4 guys. Maybe I get down to Hooper. But if I'm going to pay up in cash at tight end, like, Ebron's been safe, right? He's been really safe. You have to imagine that stops at some point, but home against Dallas, I think it's a good matchup for him. Gronk, another great matchup. Same price range for all these guys, so it's kind of who do you want to pick the most. Ebron's been the safe guy. Cook's been relatively safe with nobody in there. Probably has the best matchup. And then Gronk's just who Gronk is. He holds the name value. He had a good week last week. Maybe he's coming back to life a little bit. 5,800 though in this spot with the better matchup, getting a lot of targets. Like we're seeing 10 in back-to-back weeks. I'm going to put Jared Cook for now, but I probably will go up to Ebron or Gronk. Let's just see what we can do at wide receiver. If we can find one cheap guy, we can get up to a decent play at wide receiver. I liked Randall Cobb last week, and I thought he had a good game, right? 5 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown, 15 points. I think he came back to life a little bit. They got him a little bit more involved. He was open like 2 other plays. Rodgers just hasn't been seeing some open guys this year. If we want to look at the high range, we have Thielen playing tonight. Julio just absolutely dominating everybody. Patrick Peterson doesn't scare me, but in cash, I might stay away from it. Julio was like 10% in the Millie Maker, way too low. Had a lot of Julio paired with Matt Ryan, which definitely wasn't a terrible stack. We just didn't have any really Amari or Kittle, and that's what kind of kills you this week for sure. Antonio Brown, again, bad week on the road, and Juju just came alive, but now Antonio Brown's at home against New England. Could be a good spot for him. Also a good spot for Juju. If we want to pair Rodgers, we want to pair him with Adams, who for some reason just saw a decently big price reduction, even though he still got all the volume, still got a decent amount of catches, 81 yards and a touchdown. He scored a touchdown or had 80 yards in all 13 games this year, touchdown in 10 of the 13. We're plugging Adams in because we want to get somebody to stack with Aaron Rodgers. Now you have 3,900 apiece, though, and that's where we might have to make a decision to go down at tight end, right? Because I don't think we're going to find 2 guys for 3,900. We might find 1. And I don't know if I want to put 2 guys in there, but let's see what we got down here, right? Willie Snead, I saw him catch a couple of decent balls. Lamar Jackson had to throw a little bit more in a game where they weren't controlling the whole game. Against Tampa, I don't know where it's going to go. It could go right back to this, which has been. Not going to touch that. I feel like I've mentioned Willie Snead every single week. McKenzie's been a guy who's running the ball, I think, right? Yeah, he's getting rushes, and he's listed as a wide receiver, so that's interesting. Definitely not enough volume, but he did get in the end zone. Monitor, maybe... yeah, he's definitely playing running back, I feel like, there. But monitor LaShawn McCoy's injury, and we'll see what that happens. I didn't see any news on it. I saw an update, actually. I didn't see what it said. Marcel Aikman getting decent targets, getting red zone looks at 3,600 is not a terrible look against Cincy. We would probably have to come off of Cook, not wanting 2 guys in that game. Zay Jones at 4,200. He doesn't see any change in his price, even though he gets the same exact target looks. Going up now against Buffalo, don't hate that. A little expensive, though, if we want to try and fit some other guys. Foster seems to just be a pretty good wide receiver out there. He seems to be legit at 4,300. Back-to-back games where he's seeing a lot of looks. Had a couple 100-yard games in the previous weeks, 100 yards last week. Definitely somebody to keep an eye on. It's tough down here in this range if this is where we're choosing from because there's not much. Danny Amendola didn't do much. He's not doing much without Osweiler back in there. I'll tell you what. Let's just go down at tight end for the sake of the first look. Let's try and find cheap value. Cameron Brate. He caught 2 touchdowns, right? But he didn't get a lot of targets. But he is just kind of a red zone guy against Baltimore. Could be an option. Kyle Rudolph, decent guy, getting decent usage. But I need more, right? You need more targets out of a guy down here. Ricky Seals-Jones has killed me so many times this year. Don't want to touch him at 2,600, though he's pretty cheap. Jarwin at 2,700. So let's plug Jarwin in. Just to get down, right? To save a couple $1,000s at the tight end position. I think Jarwin was a result of what happened in the Eagles game, but again, just to get in a lineup right here. Now you got a decent amount of money to spend, right? We can go to a couple different spaces. Godwin had 10 targets, only 1 catch. That's not going to hold up. Don't want to play him against Baltimore, though, but I think he's a great tournament play off of a down week against having a bad matchup as well. If we can go and we can get somebody like Zay Jones here and fill Zay Jones in for a guy who has a really good matchup, might end up seeing, he should go into the slot a little bit more. Foster on the outside probably might end up seeing Slate, which isn't great. But decent targets the past couple of weeks with Allen throwing the ball more, and then you get 6,500 to come up here and kind of do some things. So you can go Josh Gordon, who was kind of was quietly produced well in his last game, right? He didn't get in the end zone like Edelman, like Gronk, some of these other guys, but he still had 96 yards, going right around 100, getting decent targets. Don't mind Josh Gordon at all. Tyler Boyd against Oakland, seeing decent targets. AJ Green out now. That concerns me for Tyler Boyd. We see Kenny Galladay's price has dipped a ton. Allen Robinson gets decent looks as well going up against Green Bay. Should move around into the slot and other spots. Kenny Galladay, yes, he got shut down last week. This week now he probably goes up against another number one cornerback in White. I think he's too cheap though, especially since there's not a lot of guys out there, but they just don't throw the ball as much as they need to. They kind of like to control the games that they should be winning with running the ball. I kind of want to plug in Allen Robinson here, and then that leaves us 1,000 to kind of come up if we want off of Zay Jones, off of Jarwin. Let's see. So if we come up off of Jarwin at 51, we can get up to Humphreys. Don't mind Humphreys, continues to get the looks out there. But a tougher matchup, but in the slot, don't mind it as much. We can go to either of these Tampa receivers, which has been like the debate for the last couple of weeks. You can go to D.D. Westbrook against Washington, and I think that's where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go to D.D. Westbrook against Washington. So I think this is a lineup that I'm comfortable with. We go D.D. Westbrook against Washington. What that gives us is a guy who's getting a decent amount of targets out there with the new quarterback in. Yes, it's still Cody Kessler, but Washington's secondary has been absolutely terrible. Shout out Clinton Dix. Can we get up anywhere here now that we have 6,200? I think we already had that. I like Allen Robinson. I like him moving around the slot a lot. He has a good matchup against the Packers, who seem to be depleted in their secondary outside of Jair, but Robinson moves into the slot a decent amount. Seems like a good spot if you kind of want to bring this game back with the Adams and Rodgers stack. Bringing it back there, yes, that's more so viable in tournaments and not so in cash game stacking. But again, first look lineup. 3,400, can we get up anywhere else? If we could have got up to Rudolph or Azuma, I probably would have went there. Anywhere else, though, not really looking. I know Jordan Reed was questionable, but against Jacksonville, backup tight end, not sure want to go there either. We'll just plug Jarwin in after having a decent game. We'll monitor it. That's obviously not going to stay. This whole lineup's not going to stay. It's just a first look. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, just check out some of these things that we mentioned. The blog's out, all those types of things. You can check it out. All be in the description below. Draft dashboard is somewhere that now you could get my player pool if you sign up. I had 35 players in my player pool last week. You can get access to that. $1, it's in the description for 30 days. I'll kind of put this clip also in the beginning of the video so you guys can see that as well. But thank you. Best of luck on the Monday Night Football slate. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down the Thursday Night Football slate. My name's Sal. Best of luck. Peace.